Right now you're uncovering peas, you're uncovering sunflowers. Can you talk about the process of seeding these and how you prep the seed before it even gets into the soil?
Sure. So in each one of these, we'll take just about a cup of the seeds, and then we'll put them in, we'll soak them overnight in water. And then the next day we come in. So this is one thing where it can be a little funky because they don't spread as easy as a lot of other seeds. And so basically just spread them as well as you can, as long as they're not just stacked up deep on top of each other. They tend to work themselves out. And then we spread them out in here, then we give them a little bit of peroxide again, and then water them, and then stack them for about 2 days until they sprout. And then unstack, we'll give them a little peroxide, and then water them down, and then leave them on the overhead misters. But I would imagine if somebody doesn't have the setup with the misting, you can just hand water. They do pretty well with that too. And then the cool thing about these crops, you can kind of see from over there, they're almost bulletproof. They're excellent. I mean, these taste phenomenal, and they grow real fast. So these will be ready by Monday.
So from a disease prevention standpoint, you soak them in a diluted hydrogen peroxide solution, then you seed them into the tray, you spray them down with some peroxide, then stack them, and then spray them again when they come out of the stack. So they're really getting 3 exposures to peroxide to control any sort of disease.
They are getting, let's see, 1, yes, 3, absolutely. But it's very dilute. It's something you could use as a mouthwash.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just enough to keep any kind of fungal pathogens off. In the summertime, it's not a big deal, and it might be a little overkill for these guys here. But the problem is we're touching this stuff, and you're moving it around. The fans are blowing spores around if it's fungal. The other thing too is once they get into the water, they're all soaking up the same water. So if one tray has a problem and the water's it's getting soaked up in there, then it can splash around and so forth. It's just kind of a hassle to go through. Now, I have to say that sunflowers and peas are almost trouble-free. And that's because they get harvested really, really early, within about 5 to 7 days. So, or about 7 to 8 days or so. Some of the ones that last a little bit, that take a little bit longer to get to maturity, you might have more disease pressure. Like these are beets too, and they're kind of hard to spread around because you can't just shake them around once they're wet. But I suppose if you wanted to skip the step of soaking, it just helps with germination. You could probably get it more even, which might help with disease pressure too.
Do you spray any of the other crops with that peroxide solution?
Like outside crops?
Inside any of the other crops, like when they come out of the stack?
We do everything.
Okay, so everything when you unstack
gets the same
it.
treatment, yeah.
Okay.
So basically, go ahead.
And then we'll show you doing that.
Yeah. So actually, everything once it's all laid out flat, I'll just come through and just spray everything. Yeah, with a mist. So let me do that now.
One thing they do here at Sonoma Farm is make sure they have good procedures in place to help prevent disease on the crops. What you see them doing in the background right now is just spraying a diluted hydrogen peroxide solution over all of these newly unstacked seedlings. It's 3% hydrogen peroxide diluted down to 1 cup hydrogen peroxide to 1 gallon of water. Just trying to hit each tray about 5 times. Just give it some good coverage. Just an extra step that they've put in place to really try and mitigate any disease problems. This might take a little bit of extra time, but it's a little time, and that little time is worth it when you compare the potential loss of losing a whole tray or having disease spread and take over and start to take root in your greenhouse.